Okay, I've got 7:30.
All right.
So I'd like to open up the meeting. Uh, Please be aware, everyone, that this meeting is being recorded. And I'd like to acknowledge the members present, Mr. Gagny and Mr. LaBelle.
Present.
I'd like to take a roll call vote because of remote participation. Mr. Gagny,
Present.
Mr. LaBelle is present. Uh, We'll move to a motion to approve and accept the warrants for bills payable.
I would move that we accept the warrants for the bills payable for the period ending January the 5th, 12th, 20th, and 26th of 2026, and also February 2nd and 9th of 2026. I so move.
I will second that.
Okay. I vote
All
in
those in favor?
I vote in favor.
And the chair votes in favor.
I would
So
make
passed.
I'd make the next motion that we approve and accept the payroll for the weeks ending January the 24th, 31st, and February 7th and 14th of 2026. I would so move.
I will second that.
I vote in favor, yes.
And I vote yes as well.
We have no minutes to approve, so we will move to old business.
I agree. Old business A, discussion Delano Apartments memo of agreement. Tim?
Yes, so the Delano Apartments memorandum of agreement draft has been agreed upon by Claremont Company, uh, as written with the assistance. Well, it was written by us and Sandy based on past MOAs and reviewed and commented upon by Assistant Town Council, and those revisions and recommendations were reviewed by us and Claremont Company and agreed upon. The MOA outlines the fees that will be required to be paid at different stages of the construction to connect to the municipal sewer system. The fees include $81,600 for sewer connection, which is based upon the number of bedrooms being built based off Title V flows and our fees. The inflow and infiltration fee, which is also based on the flow calculation from the number of bedrooms, and that is $44,940. The mitigation fee, also based on that flow, with a $12 per gallon per day, with a total of $107,856. And all that is to be paid throughout the construction. So 25% of that is to be paid at the application date of the sewer connection. 50% of that total fee, it will be due at the temporary occupancy permit. And then at final occupancy, 25%, the final 25% of that cost will be required. And at that final occupancy date, we also calculated a capital improvement fee of $62,395, which includes capital improvements at the pump station and at the plant for the amount of flow that they have from their facility.
Any questions?
I would only make a comment that I am glad, Tim, that you have that capital improvement aspect in it relating to that pump station and that second pump that folks at Stantec had identified as questionable for this added capacity, being consistent with this as we go forward of apartment complexes that we're going to be reviewing and upcoming. I very much appreciate that. That's very good done. Thank you.
Tim, is this several months ago we approved the permit for this project? Is this the same permit, same values, or have they changed?
So we have not approved the permit yet. We've only approved the permit to connect the water.
I guess what I'm asking is, we approved a rate increase to the permit values.
Correct.
And for some reason, looking at these numbers, they seem different than what we approved. Am I correct or incorrect?
No, I believe these are the numbers
Yeah, okay,
that were discussed and approved. Yeah.
okay. I guess the only other question I have, in regards to A, B, and C for first, second, and third payment, what kind of timeline are you anticipating for something like that?
So the 25%, once this is approved by the board, and then signed by uh, Claremont Company and me, then I assume that they will apply for sewer immediately and
Yep.
pay that 25%. And then, they're pretty far along on the construction, but I'm assuming there's still a good amount of time before temporary occupancy. I haven't seen, they haven't done any interior work. It's all been framing. So that basically, it'll be a while before we get to 50 and 100% on those.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anything else on this matter?
Nope.
I have it as a discussion, but can the board vote to approve the MOA to move forward?
I'm sorry, say that again. I didn't hear you.
I have this listed as a discussion, but could the board vote to approve the MOA to move it forward?
Do you have any objections to that, Mike?
No, I
No.
would make a motion
Okay,
presented materially in the packet that's been provided to us and to the fee schedule that Tim has outlined, that we approve the MOU for the Delano Apartments by Claremont Corporation.
I will second that. Mr. Gagny,
I would vote yes.
and I will vote yes. Motion passes. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
Am I supposed to admit this guy, Tim? Somebody's trying to get in?
I got him. I got it covered.
Okay.
That was Derek Martin.
Item B, Tim?
So item B, the update on the water enterprise rates and quarterly billing. So as the board had approved a 13% increase on water rates with support of the select board and the town administrator and finance director, we have moved forward with a public service announcement that went out on video. I don't know if you've seen it, but I can send you a link to it. And the bills are scheduled. The first quarter bills are scheduled to go out on February 24th. They were scheduled to go out this week, but we only have one billing clerk, utility billing clerk, and they're doing, instead of doing different sections throughout the town throughout the year, they're doing all 9,000 over 9,000 accounts at this time. So they're just working on getting that approved and getting all those bills ready to go out on hopefully on February 24th.
That's good.
With the video that we sent out, Steve Sullivan and I did some speaking on the video and kind of explaining the rate and the quarterly billing and also the app, the Ion Water app, which allows residents to create a login and then log on to look at their real-time use of their water and look at real-time consistent use and see if they have and there are any triggers for leaks or excessive use.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we had some questions regarding the app login, and we had explained that you have your water account number, which is on your bill, and then you have to create the login, you need to hyphenate that with a combination of your account number and your customer ID. And that customer ID you would have to call the water department to get that customer ID. So this posed some confusion to people trying to create that login, as well as, a lot of calls going to the water department while they're trying to work on getting these bills out. And so working with the town administrator, the Chad, one of our computer software gurus, and Jessica, our communications director, and Chrissy, our utility billing clerk. Chrissy created a report that had both the account number and the customer ID. Chad took that, created a tool that we could put on the website, so people can just go into that site, enter their account from their bill, and then it'll populate the account number with the hyphenated customer ID that they can then create that login on the Ion Water. And then Jessica, our communications director, created a web page with our instructions to move forward with creating that login and using the app, and it includes that tool on the web page. We tried it out yesterday. It works well. So that's going live today.
Good. Good. Any discussion on this? Questions? Okay, good deal.
All right.
Item C, Tim?
So the draft 2027 operational budget in CIP. The board was sent the original draft budget in CIP right before our January meeting. I know it was kind of a short notice, but we had been working furiously to get that put together right before that meeting. And since then, I met with the town administrator and the finance director late last week, and they recommended a number of changes, increases, mostly in enterprise fund budgets, and we also updated some of the general fund budgets as well. I sent the revision package out for the budget, and I'm actually scheduled to meet with the finance committee tonight at 5 p.m. at town hall to present the operating budget. As far as the capital plan, I'm working on a few changes. So while I sent the revised budget, the capital plan that I sent out in January is still the current draft, and I'm working on changes. And as soon as I get those changes updated, I will send those along as well. And I'm scheduled to present the capital on Monday, March 2nd. Does anybody have any?
Tim,
You have any questions, Mike?
Tim, on that budget, I took a look at it, and I'm concerned on two of your divisions, the fleet maintenance and the construction division. Excuse me. And how much money, sorry about that, and how much money is appropriated for their expenses in those departments. I'm actually quite surprised that that expense amount, has been historically what I would consider low for the amount of work, the vehicles, the number of vehicles you got to maintain. And then for the construction division, for the type of work that division was designed for, it's really not an awful lot of money either. Now, I certainly understand, having been in that position, that going into the beginning of a new fiscal year with uncertainty on, level of receipts and, what the state aid, the unrestricted, state aid is going to be, that they have to basically try to level fund in certain categories. But I think it would certainly deserve notice that you would raise in the finance committee meeting. And I would say first, with the finance director and the town administrator, that you would ask for some consideration on those two line items at the fall town meeting when they have their surplus revenue from the previous fiscal year certified, so that some of the projects and some of the bigger maintenance things that the fleet maintenance should be doing, you make a list of them and have them so that you can provide Cody and the finance director, because it's not an awful lot of money. You're not going to get a lot of work done if you got to buy materials for that kind of expense in the construction division. Just my thoughts.
So thank you, Mike. Appreciate that, and we will discuss that. So typically, both of those divisions, a lot of their work they do is billable to other departments. So when the engineering trucks go in for maintenance, they bill the engineering division. If any other town hall vehicles that are in there getting for maintenance, that gets billed. And same with the construction division, a lot of the work that they do is billable. So whether it's Chapter 90 or billed to road maintenance, um, it, 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 that's how it works itself out. So when we were asked, um, when the finance director requested the budgets, they asked that they be level funded. We did continue to level fund that. I do know that I think the CPI was about 2.4% this year.
Yeah.
And there will be, depending on that's for expenses, and then based on salaries, depending on negotiations, that budget will be updated based on union negotiations.
So could you just ask maybe Donna in accounting whether or not she can print on the Munis system what the totals were for the chargebacks for the departments in the last full fiscal year, and just share it with us? It'd be very helpful. I was not aware that those divisions were billing back to the appropriate departments, but it would be nice to see, certainly how much fleet maintenance is helping all those other agencies, and certainly a construction division that's able to execute versus hiring a contractor. That's a great opportunity.
Absolutely.
You don't have to ask Donna. I mean, we keep track of it in our budget every month on the budget sheets. You don't have to ask Donna where we charge back. Because it's all tracked internally in our budget sheets between Chapter 90 and road maintenance.
And Paul, if you could share that with each of the board members, it would be very helpful. It sort of shaped.
It's with the office. We'll have to get it for the next board package right from the billing clerk. We'll get that to you guys on the next board package. It's in there, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Thanks, Mike. Tim, at some point, I'd like to sit down with you. So you're meeting with the select board tonight to present this?
The finance committee.
Finance committee, okay, fine. Just to get, a better handle, I read the whole budget. One quick question I have is the snow budget. Where does,
What's no budget?
yeah, I was going to mention that too, but where does this money actually come from? I mean, you don't really budget for snow.
Right.
And
So basically, our expense budget is still doing okay. It's and well, after we got all the salt delivered, I think it might be further towards being in the red. But the overtime budget that has gotten hammered, and pretty much we spent on the big storm, we spent our whole overtime budget.
yeah,
In that one storm.
yeah,
But this budget it's one budget that's allowed to go over into the red, and is it's supplemented by the general fund. So what I did for this new budget, I increased it by almost 100%. I increased the overtime from the
okay,
so just to balance that out a little more. Last year, I believe we we overspent, and the year before that, we spent about 71,000. Um, so, so I increased it to 100,000, for this upcoming year. But like I said, it's a lot. That's the one budget that's allowed to go into the red.
Yeah, last year we turned back expense money. Tim. Remember we were seeing
Yes,
if we could
yes,
use that money?
yep. We spent the overtime, but we didn't spend the expense money. Yep.
Okay.
And that
Well,
happens a lot,
at
you know.
some point, I'd like to sit down with you and just go through
Yeah,
the budget
absolutely. Yes,
to get just some questions cleared up in my mind.
definitely. Let me know what we can schedule. Let's sit down.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions on item C?
Nope.
Thank you, Tim.
You're
Uh,
welcome. And just one more comment, just,
Sure.
with the additional, with the additional increases, especially in the enterprise funds, that requires additional increase in rates, right? So that'll be, coming up, as we discuss rates for the fiscal as well.
Well, that would have been one of my questions. Does money from the enterprise accounts go into snow removal, or is that totally general fund value?
That's a total general fund value. I mean,
Okay.
any snow removal by those individual departments. So when they called in for overtime to do, you know, like when Dennis's guys are out cleaning the pump station areas, doing snow removal at the yard, and when the water guys are clearing the wells and their areas, that's in their budgets. But the main doing all the roads, uh, that's in the snow and ice budget.
Okay. I mean, we could stay here all day with questions I would have. It'd just be best to do it in a different forum.
Absolutely.
Okay, item D.
Okay. I'm not sure if Mr. Winnick is on. I don't see him here. So Mr. Winnick had come before the board in December, uh, requesting an abatement regarding a high water bill while he was out of town, during the month of May. And while this may have been due to a leak within the dwelling, the board had agreed to an abatement based on, uh, Steve Sullivan and my recommendations. So Steve Sullivan calculated Mr. Winnick's usage for the month of May while he wasn't there, and then compared it to past usage, in other months of May when he's typically out of town, which was zero usage for the last couple of years. And then so when Mr. Sullivan divided that usage in half, which was calculated, to from 8961 cubic feet to 4,480.5, which calculated to $275.54. And that's just based on the sewer rate for a sewer abatement because the water did go through the meter. So we wouldn't typically abate the water. We're not sure if it was an outdoor leak, irrigation, or interior, or what the issue was. But that would be, the most that we would recommend as sewer abatement.
Okay. Mike, any questions?
So on that, Tim, that's being consistent with what we did for the gentleman up on Emerald Drive.
Correct.
We're abating only the sewer portion, and not the actual water used and gone, correct?
Correct. Yes.
All right. I'm fine with that. That's consistent with the previous practice, and I would make the motion that we approve the request for the amount of $275. Am I correct on that, Tim?
$275.54.
And 54 cents. I would so.
I agree. I will second that. Mr. Gagnon?
I vote yes.
The chair votes yes. The motion passes. Thank you. Okay, item E, Tim.
Item E, so the comprehensive wastewater management plan RFQ. We have finished our review of the qualification packages, and based on, Mike had recommended, and it's typically done, request an interview with the top consultants, to, get some further information and ask some additional questions. So we're working on some coming up with questions and scheduling those interviews in the upcoming weeks.
Okay,
That's good, Tim. I think, with Ron's background with the wastewater plant in New Bedford, and Rob's background in California with water treatment and water commissions, I think it would be a good opportunity. This is a real big deal that we're dealing with going forward. And I think if you were able to schedule that meeting and then post it 48 hours in advance so that both Ron, Rob, and I could all go and listen to that. I have found in my work that I've done for the city, these sit down meetings where they make a presentation and then you have an opportunity to question is probably the thing that cuts the difference between the best and the next best. And I think, our board members really should all be there. So it's not a big deal. You can just post it, as a meeting to listen to the interviews. But I think it's a good opportunity if they can both have an opportunity to go.
yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Mr. Gagne. I reviewed the RFQs and still shake my head remembering when we were doing that in New Bedford and locking ourselves away in rooms to do it.
Yeah.
But I would like to sit in and listen to that for sure.
Good.
Okay, any more questions on that?
No.
Thank you, Mike. Item F, operational study.
So we discussed moving forward with the operational study at our last meeting. I know the chairman would like to move it forward. I proposed holding off as the town administrator was adamant about hiring a business manager for the DPW, which is going to kind of change the operations a little bit. So I did have this discussion when I met with the town administrator, and he agreed that holding off the study until the operational changes are in place, including, the business manager, was a good idea. And asked that meanwhile, we work on a plan for choosing a consultant to complete the study and procuring that. So I will work on that end of it to get that finalized, and they're looking to advertise that position as soon as possible. They worked on the job description and we reviewed it, and I think they're just finalizing the rate of pay.
Yeah, I see that in the budget.
Yes.
It's like 25 across the board.
Yes. Yep. We had 25% through water, sewer, solid waste recycling, and then general fund.
Okay, any questions?
Tim, can you share the job description with
Absolutely.
each of them? So we can take a look at it. I know in other communities they have this position. In particular, they had it in Mattapoisett, and it helped an awful lot, especially in water and sewer. They had a very skilled individual. He was a retiree from working in finance with banking, and it was a real asset. So I think it's a great idea. But if you just share the description, at least we can sort of think about, I always believe you get the best person sometimes when you go out and mention it to people that are skilled in the particular area, and sort of encourage them versus them, since they're not looking for a job or anything. They might be, with the description, they might be encouraged to say, hey, that's something I'd be interested in doing. So if we have that, we can share it with folks that are out there.
I agree. Thanks, Mike.
Yep, thanks, Mike. Anything else? Item G.
Update on the storm debris planning. I have met with the refuse district director, and we are working on scheduling to bring back our meetings to continue our progress on developing this plan. And I will also be working on scheduling a meeting with the EMA director to kind of bring that kind of our draft of what we have currently to him and see if he has any recommendations on moving forward, and then I'll bring that to the district as well.
Okay, any questions?
No.
No, thank you, Mike. Okay, we'll move on to new business. Item A, licensed utility.
Yeah, so we had licensed utility contractor Dirty Diggin' Construction of Fairhaven applied for a utility layer license. Their application includes their certificates of insurance that are required, the bond, and it includes reference letters from Marion DPW, Acushnet DPW, the City of New Bedford, and Hingham Sewer Commission. The owner has also previously worked for licensed utility layers in Dartmouth doing utility work. So I do recommend the approval of this license.
Do I have a motion?
I would make the motion that we approve the utility contractor's license for the company called Dirty Diggin'.
I will second that motion,
I vote in favor.
and I vote in favor.
All right.
Motion's approved. Item B,
So water supply source study. So I've been working with AECom. I know this has been discussed at various town meetings throughout, including board meetings. And with our water, supply and demand, we're looking at a source study. So we worked with the AECom, and they're working on a proposal. Unfortunately, they haven't gotten it to us yet. I did expect it for this meeting. The agreement is based on compiling a lot of our historical data that AECom has worked on in the past and the town has worked on, and going through all that data, recommending new source locations for well locations or possible well locations, so to move forward with borings and also responding to a number of supply source questions within the community, within elected officials, within different town meetings. So this is the proposal is supposed to be approximately $100,000. I asked them to keep it below that if they could.
so how would we approve this without seeing it?
So it was on as an approval. I was waiting for the contract, but the agreement hasn't been submitted. So I will continue this until we get the contract for the next meeting.
Okay. Mr. Gagnon, any questions?
No, I think certainly it's a timely matter in light of what we've been dealing with in the last 6 months. And I think the item that Tim kind of is coming up about a significant drought, warning, the sooner we go towards this, the better. Certainly a month's not going to make a difference. I would only ask Tim if we've come to closure with Assistant Town Council on the letter from the folks from Fish and Wildlife Service, so that we will be able to be including that land on the eastern side of the Pascamanza between the river and Tucker Road. My memory serves me, historically, we had some pretty good results north of that location back in might have been the 90s. And for various reasons, those areas weren't developed, but I think its proximity to the treatment facility that's on the western side of the Pascamanza, I think we could do something maybe there if they shows to be very cost effective.
Sure. And I agree. And the only issue with any wells along Pascamansit is they are restricted during the months of May through September, for the amount that we can pump out of the ground, in that watershed. So our peak demand is through those months. So it behooves us to look in some of our other watersheds for additional water, so we don't get the restriction that those wells have. But additionally, similar, when we had to re-drill additional wells for the Violetta wells to replace some of our old wells that weren't functioning anymore. Those are options, additional options for these sites. I haven't heard anything recently from town council. I'll follow back up. I know he had requested, he had received a letter from staff from the state, but he had requested a letter from council representing either the state or federal, federal, yeah, to basically state that their use of that land for their conservation restriction would not prohibit us from developing wells in the future. As it's a, I think it's is it an Audubon, or it is not Audubon, but it's a bird.
Oh,
It's a bird sanctuary, right?
right. I would only suggest, you mentioned the town council, that the towns of Rochester, Fairhaven, and Mattapoisett, in fact, have that specific language that they agreed upon when they did those land acquisitions, which was a joint acquisition in those communities for that well situation. So the precedent is there, and I wouldn't want to see this continue to be held up, so that we can move forward. The other thing I would mention, and you can make sure that you include it in the AECOM proposal, is have those items that Mr. Yenner raised as questions that we would want to get answers for. I think that sometimes we explore the outside possibilities, and suddenly people have ideas that really are good ideas. And I would ask that what Mr. Yenner raised, that in fact AECOM addresses.
Was that the surface water potential?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, how was that?
Yeah. Yes, and those were actually Mr. Yenner's questions were on that list of source supply questions that they will work to answer. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah. This reminds me, Tim, when the weather gets better, I'll plant the seed now, but I would love to go and take a look at all these areas again to refamiliarize myself with their locations and potentials.
Sure.
You know,
Absolutely. We can also take you over to the 579 Westport Road plant where we're updating the backwash clear well and the CT 4-log pipe.
yeah, would love to see all that stuff. We'll let the snow melt.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I agree.
anything else on this issue?
No.
So this is gonna be tabled, correct?
Yes, this will be tabled. I will continue this for the next meeting until we receive a proposal from AECOM.
Okay, item C?
Item C is our wastewater flow and loading study update. At the last meeting, we did not have the proposal completed, but the board gave me authorization to administratively approve the flow and loading study. This is the agreement is in your package. I have approved this, and this is moving forward currently. Stantec is actively working on this study, as it is timely as well.
Okay, any questions?
I think this is very, very timely and very valuable material that once we receive that, we share it with agencies that are doing permitting for things that potentially will impact those areas. And that's great, Tim. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is, without question, very necessary.
So I'll be working with Stantec pretty closely on this, and I'm sure, you know, they'll be asking some questions on additional data at the plant that Dennis will be able to provide and discuss as well.
Okay, anything else on that? Any questions on that?
Oh,
Okay, thank you, Tim. Item D, crossroad improvements.
So this is the ongoing crossroad improvement design, working with VHB on this. It's been moving along pretty well, and we're looking to amend this agreement to the 100% design submittal for 130,000. This agreement should hopefully take us to the finish line on this project and secure our placement on the Mass DOT tip as a shovel-ready project. You know, this will give us opportunity to move up on the tip if there is available funding. We learned at my last SERPED meeting there was available funding this year for you know, additional projects to be moved around if they are shovel ready. So we're working hard to get this project to that level so we can move it.
Yeah, seems like the work you've done there has corrected a lot of the flooding.
Yes, yep, yeah. The highway department has gone out and installed that infiltration system subsurface, and it's worked well. It still has a little backup during heavy storms, but it wasn't really designed for that. So
Yeah.
it works over time, and it's functioning well. And you know, all this snow melt, I haven't seen any problems. And in past years, you know, we would have been sending out, you know, sanders to treat that area consistently. So
Yeah, yeah. Any questions or concerns regarding this?
I would only make a comment, and I'm sort of one of these historical, buffs, and Branco always told me that once you have a project that's shovel ready, he would attend, as Tim does, the Joint Transportation Planning Group meeting in Taunton, I think on a monthly basis. And Manny always had in his pocket what projects he had that were shovel ready and ready to put out to. And somebody else that was not quite there on their design, Manny was able to, voice up that his project was ready to go. And I can think of a number of things. He was very successful with that. So the sooner the folks at VHB can get that work done, and Tim is able to say at the monthly meeting, we're ready to roll, the better, because opportunity strikes when others aren't ready.
absolutely, yeah.
Well,
I'm ready.
I
and
was on a
waiting.
JTCP, and I can tell you one thing, Manny was on his game.
He always was on his game. He was.
Yep, very good. Yep.
Okay, do we have a motion here?
I would make a motion that we approve the contract. I should say the amendment to the contract for the crossroad improvements to bring it to 100% design with the firm Vanasse, Haig and Breslin at $130,000.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
And this will be funded out of our road maintenance account.
Good.
Yep, I vote yes, the motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Item E, emergency capital account. Tim?
So, Dennis Mattos, I've been discussing the wood chipper grinder that we use to grind all the brush that the residents bring in, and sometimes wood that we have to purchase to grind to mix with our biosolids to compost and create that finished product. It's been having some issues lately, and we've been, spending some money on repairs. And Dennis has let me know that the conveyor needs to be replaced, which he estimates to be about a $40,000 repair. So he has asked for the use of the $50,000 emergency capital account to get this repair underway, as we need this constantly to do our finished compost work. And
that's 40,000 just for the parts.
just for the parts. Yeah.
Will $50,000 cover it?
Dennis,
Well, we can, I don't know, because I don't have a quote on the
the
installation,
labor.
but, we can pay some out of our budget if necessary, but it's not gonna be a cheap, repair.
So, I didn't quite hear all that.
So I can repeat it. So he said we don't currently have an estimate on the labor, but the parts are 40,000.
Yep,
So if needed, we can use some of our operating budget expenses for vehicle and equipment maintenance
okay.
for some of the
So we
additions
have
if it costs
value
more.
to follow this through.
Correct, but that $50,000 will get us to purchase the components and definitely get a good start on the labor.
Yep, okay. Any questions or concerns?
I don't have a specific question or concern, but it does bring to light the importance that each of Tim's divisions list all of their equipment, both on-road and off-road, and provide those to Tim on an annual basis so that Tim can then provide that to whoever handles the equipment insurance that the town has. I've heard of a couple instances where, in fact, equipment has been left off the insured list, and luck being as it is, that piece of equipment has some kind of major problem or is completely destroyed, and then there's this big discussion of why wasn't it on the insurance. We used to try to make an inventory of every piece of equipment, since we do insure, or the plan is we do insure every piece in Dartmouth, an annual list, and if Tim could get that and get that over to, probably the town administrator's office, I'd feel a lot more comfortable, because I would historically find that some things invariably had been left off, and we don't want that kind of situation.
So I can say that we still handle all that, most of that in-house. So Rosa keeps the inventory. All of our division heads keep her updated. And then she works on all the registrations and the insurance for all of that equipment. At one point in time, it was actually moved quite a few years ago over to town hall, and then they decided that was too much for them, so then they gave it back, and it was kind of in disarray. So Rosa's kind of reorganized that, and she does a great job of that.
So Tim, the only comment I would make is I would find things that were not going to be registered and put plates put on them.
Right.
So skid steers and things like that.
Yeah.
They acquired them and we're not going to put that on the road, and sometimes it's not known. So I appreciate that. I'm glad Rose is taking care of that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this issue is new to me. The town has insurance on its equipment.
Yes.
Yeah, because where I come from, everything was self-insured.
I know.
Which was, and I tried to get away from that, but they wouldn't let me do it. But
Well, that's changed.
no, that's a great idea, Timmy. Tim, if your crew is on top of this, and continues to update it, if there's insurance, stay on that list.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would make the motion that we approve the expenditure of $50,000 for the purposes of repair to the wood shredder chipper.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
I vote yes. The motion passes. Thank you.
And just
Tim? Excuse me?
just to make one more statement on based on our capital. So Dennis has procured an estimate to replace that piece of equipment, the grinder, and it's upwards of $900,000. So, we may look at, if there are leasing opportunities in the future, or if we can, put together the retained earnings to purchase another one, but we still have uncertainty of our biosolids, and what's going to happen with that process.
Yeah.
So we
Because
still need.
we've got one more year left.
We have until October.
October. Okay.
So So we want to kind of have an idea of which direction we're going to head with that, as well.
Okay,
So I
anything
think
else?
these repairs are definitely necessary.
Yeah, I think we all agree. Committee updates? Are there any committee updates?
No, I don't have
I
anything.
have nothing. Director updates?
Sure. So, based on some storm updates, our crews had a little break this past weekend as they've been going nonstop, all winter, including weekends and holidays, with snow removal and ice treatment. Um, this week we have additional forecasted precipitation with, temperatures during the day just above freezing and then going back into freezing at overnight, which requires additional treatment. We were running pretty low on salt and using, probably noticed, the stand salt mix. So Highway Department, Paul and Derek, were purchasing sand from Medeiros and Sons and mixing it with the salt to stretch out, our treatment every round of treatment is about 70 ton, 60 to 70 ton, and then storms like the big storm we have, we go through about probably 400 or 500 tons. So it looks like we just got about 800 to 900 ton of salt in, so to replenish our supply, um, and they were out treating last night, and they'll be treating probably through the weekend, and we have additional forecasted storm come Saturday to Sunday or Monday. So that is uncertain where that'll be and how much snow that will drop, but it is forecasted for additional snow on Monday.
Okay,
Also, with the extremely cold temperatures, we've had a number of water main breaks throughout town, where our crews have been, managing, between snow removal and water main repairs. It's been quite busy, and I think I attribute that to a lot of the freeze and thaw and expansion and contraction of the soils. Which in some of our non-ductile mains, like the cast iron or AC mains, are more fertile for that. It's susceptible to breaking.
water main breaks only happen on holidays and in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
True.
well, I'll tell you now, we're working on one right now in front of 11 Macomb that just came in. So,
All right.
I know how you feel, Paul.
yeah, the other hat, put multiple hats in this department.
I would like to say Derek Martin, DPW. I've been part of some major storms over the 30 years I've been here, but never had a winter like this in my new position. Um, Learning from Paul has been, very educational for myself, and watching, every hour and watching these storms develop and where they're coming from, and digging through 1,000 ton of salt with no, um, you know, we're not getting any product back, and learning that at what point to mix it. And honestly, hats off to Paul to keep the way that this town is running, because I say it all the time, a team takes on the identity of its coach. And believe me, these streets looked great. We haven't had too many incidents where we weren't safe as residents. So that is a straight up to leadership is that I see
The
it.
key.
Absolutely.
That's the key. Derek, pick his brain.
I am, sir. I am.
If you can get that unlocked and open that up,
There's a lot in there, taking it piece by piece. But and on top of it, Ron, he's a great teacher too, because he's been slowly, and I've told this to Tim. He doesn't just drop everything on my plate. He's been slowly putting it where it almost comes muscle memory to myself.
Good deal. Good deal. Good job, Paul. Tim, go ahead.
Moving on to our 40B projects, we have a Hawthorne project was held last Thursday, February 12th, where we basically read through the list of requested waivers and made recommendations through. It was a long list of waivers that they had requested for whether it's zoning, planning, or DPW, stormwater, sewer, and water. They requested a lot of waivers for water and sewer, which we did not recommend. So the, the zoning board has a lot to go through, at looking at those recommendations, and their next meeting, I believe, is in March, towards the end of March. Let's see. Yeah, it's not on the schedule right now, but I think it's toward the end of March. The Sherbrooke project is scheduled, the next meeting is scheduled for March 16th. And then the Hathaway Road 40B project is scheduled for Monday, March 2nd at 6. These are all at 6 p.m. in the select board room at Town Hall. I know Rob had mentioned that the water demand for Hawthorne, the calculations they had given us were based on just the residential use in the clubhouse, but they didn't add any additional non-essential use for that demand. So typically that's during peak times of, between May and September where you have irrigation. So they did not have any comment on that, and still haven't commented on that use. I know we only have an 8-inch cast iron that comes up from Country Club Boulevard, just south of the intersection of Allen Street and Tucker Road. That's going to supply that whole subdivision. And we've had 2 breaks in that area this year alone. So I would recommend updating that main to a 12-inch from Country Club Boulevard to that, at least that connection to help with that supply and sustainability.
Tim, while we're on this subject, I mean, when we're talking both residential unit development and commercial development, are we getting to the point where we may need to look at the issue like they are in the Southwest, and that is that there be no outdoor irrigation permitted? I mean, we're on strain right now, obviously, with how much water we have to buy. I think prioritizing the use of municipal water supply not necessarily is irrigation when you can develop, dry gardens and things like that you don't need to irrigate. And I think that would be one significant area we could conserve on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the other thing is, we could look at, there's a number of residents and probably commercial that have sewer deduct meters. So they can actually track their irrigation use. So, that might be, another tier of a rate in the future for irrigation use as well.
I'm not so focused on the issue of present users, because they operated and they did what they did under, what the mindset was at the time. I'm talking about large future from this day forth developments, that things like that should be encompassed in there, for them. But those that have been in the past, that's what the standard was. But today, standards are changing for, water conservation purposes that we maybe need to take a hard look at and have some of our consultants maybe give us a recommendation on how we should approach that.
Yeah, Mike, you make a great point, because at some point in time, given the way droughts have prolonged themselves through the summer months, we should be looking at alternatives to head off water use.
Yeah.
Either by, if you put a system in the ground, then you have to have a deduct meter, and we are going to take that meter and we're going to charge you X more for using water, or just outright bans, and with penalties if you violate those bans.
Right.
So, what I would suggest, Tim, is sit down with the staff, think up all those number of things that we could potentially do to head off drought conditions and reduce consumptions. and ways of getting that done. And if need be, talk to consultants
Absolutely. Yeah.
or other communities, how they do it. But yeah, it's coming to that, which is, boy, a far different cry from what you would expect in New England weather patterns, but we're getting
Absolutely.
there.
Yes. Yep. And I bring, the drought condition, right, status. You would expect us to not be in a drought right now, but we've actually been upgraded to a significant drought,
Yeah,
mainly because of the frost in the ground not allowing the milk to infiltrate into the ground and into the groundwater. So even with all the snow, we're being upgraded in our drought conditions.
Yeah, Tim, one of the things that might be helpful is maybe we would schedule an in-person quarterly meeting, let's say it's for an hour, with you, the board members and your division heads, where we would sit around the table and maybe just have some discussion about, and we can, post it as, brainstorming on different ideas. And I think, Zoom is great, Teams is great, but it doesn't promote a hearty exchange of ideas. I mean, we've got subjects we have to handle in our monthly meetings, but to have a round table and just sort of throw some issues around the table as it relates to public works and public, infrastructure, I think would be very helpful. And even doing it on a quarterly basis and say, hey, it's not going to be more than an hour, but I just think, I feel like talking to more and exchanging more, with people in a round table versus Teams.
Person to person, yeah.
good idea. Anything else, Tim?
Yeah, and I also, emphasize that, and I spoke to the town administrator about this as well, is, we've struggled for years to enforce the aquifer protection bylaws because they're zoning bylaws, right? And while, you can request a variance and get relief of compliance with the aquifer bylaws, I think they should be enforced more, and in the bylaws it requires infiltration, right? So as we're seeing with the drought, and the reasoning for the drought was the snow melt is shedding on top of the surface rather than infiltrating into the ground and then getting into streams, rivers, and brooks, and then just going downstream and outlaying into a body of water where it's not getting into the groundwater, where the protection aquifer protection bylaw is just that. It requires ground subsurface infiltration to get that water back into the ground. So it's not just shedding over impervious surfaces and getting into the stormwater system and then going downstream and outletting. So it seems like because it's past practice, these boards would just continuously approve variances for relief of the aquifer bylaw. I think it's very important to enforce it.
Yeah. Is there still, trying to word this appropriately, a level of cooperation with other boards relative to public works when they're sitting there allowing individual projects to not proceed with the laws that are on the books now, giving variances without discussing it with DPW?
Yeah, so typically any variances come through DPW, so we will comment on them, but they don't typically
They
ask.
acknowledge it, and
They don't ask for additional discussion, and some of it's not acknowledged and it's approved, whether it's at the board level or at the, administrative level. I think there needs to be more discussion to prove, why this is relevant and important.
yeah, because the issues that Public Works is dealing with right now it's significant to the whole town. And, people have to cooperate.
Yep.
There's no turning back if you don't take proper steps now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Okay,
even DEP has commented on, and not just about Dartmouth, about, when we working on our Water Management Act permit and and you know discussing the aquifer protection bylaw, and they basically say, oh, you guys don't enforce that, nobody enforces that. No, so and if that was enforced and proved to be, it would also help on our permit. You know,
yeah. Well, there may come a point in time where a lot of people are gonna say, how come you
Correct.
didn't enforce it?
Right.
Anything else?
Just a few other updates. 579 Westport Road, CT pipe and our our backwash clear well, that's on schedule. They're working with our engineering staff currently to fill that line and hydrostatically test it, and then chlorinate and dechlorinate so it can be sampled for bacteriological testing. And we're hoping to get that online soon, and then work on getting the Pinelli wells back up and running.
Good news.
Yes.
And are we still looking at a June, July startup point?
Yes, we are. We're hoping for earlier, but that's our hard deadline.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on, I met with the city of Fall River director of the water division and sewer, and we discussed connecting to Fall River through Westport, and looked at costs for rates that they charge and that they charge for interconnections, and also the town of Westport. I did get the construction design plan for the extension of the water line from where it's left off now to the town line, and it's about it's about a mile and a half, or 1.2 miles, which is estimated at about $5 million to construct, and that doesn't include going under the Lake Nokichoke culverts that cross Route 6. So that that'll be quite a bit of money to extend that, but if we can work on some grant opportunities for regional interconnection, I think we can move forward with that, with additional talks with Fall River and Westport.
Yeah. Tim, do you have like a fact sheet that sort of has all this information on it? Like, what are the rates in Westport versus the rates, in Fall River versus the, New Bedford, and back and forth?
Yeah, I can get that to you.
Okay. Because this is new information to me, like 1.2 miles, $5 million project. Is Fall River amenable to this? Is this something
are.
that they're happy about?
Fall River is interested in selling water.
Good, good.
They
Good.
have a lot of it, and I think their permit allows them about maybe 14 MGD, and currently
Would they be willing to
they use
participate?
about 10. Yes, they would.
But I mean, in the project itself.
Fall River Pro might not be, but I didn't really discuss that end of it. I discussed if they were willing to.
With a guarantee of
To
we'll
work with us.
purchase this
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And maybe even put, an ability to pay back
Mm-hmm.
the capital investment over a period of time,
All right.
things like that.
Yeah, those are all good ideas. I know Westport would also have some funding in the game as well.
Good.
My only concern with, and I brought that up to Fall River as well. It's only a 12-inch main, so it's a 12-inch that goes through Westport, and that would be extended to Dartmouth. And I'm sure Westport also has future plans of branching off of that 12 inch. So,
Mhm.
so we have to know what our allowance would be, through that 12 inch.
Yeah, because we're extending a system in their community. There's a
Correct.
value there,
There is.
significant. Okay, anything else?
Just staffing. We're interviewing candidates for our admin assistant position, and hopefully we can get that moving. Um, Additionally, the town is eager to advertise the business manager position, and I will share that job description with the board. I'm also part of a committee selected to interview the environmental affairs coordinator, who is retired, but he's working back as a consultant part time until we can get somebody uh, hired for that position. So that interviews are scheduled for most of the day tomorrow. So I will be in interviews there. And also, we hired our master mechanic. Uh, so that the highway guys, Paul and Derek, have worked with Andrew Hayward, who was hired as a driver, and he has been promoted to a master mechanic, and doing some great work. So
Well, if it keeps snowing, he'll be a busy guy.
yeah, he has been.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Okay, anything else?
I think that's about it.
Mr. Gagné, anything?
No, one thing, I've spoken with Tim about the issue that our friends on social media have raised, and I personally experienced, and that is the orange bags and the labeling and wrapping on them. Seems to me that you have defective product here, and I'm curious what we're going to be able to do, because it is quite a task to not destroy the first bag, as you would say. It seems like a small issue, but we all have to do it. So what do you know on that, Tim?
So we've been working with the manufacturer, who's Waste Zero, on this issue. So they have a processing facility that uh, manufactures the bags and the packaging. So they're working with the processing facility to change that process, and they have changed the process. And I'm not sure exactly how. I did recommend. So currently now they have a glue strip that's put on the bag, and then it's wrapped. It's put on the wrap, and then it's wrapped around the bags, and that glue strip is on the bottom where it can stick to the bags and glue to the bags. Where I'd recommended if they put that on the top, then it would never stick to the bags. Um, so I'm not sure if that's the new process, but they have changed their process, and I've requested a sample of the new packaging. So hopefully I'll have that within the next couple weeks. And our new communications director, Jessica, is going to kind of put a public service announcement up there on our website, to explain that we're working on a resolution for this. And they also, Waste Zero also stated that any residents can contact their customer service number or email, and they will mail them a new package of bags. And other than if any residents have this issue, they can actually bring the bags here to DPW, and we will exchange them as well. But if out of convenience, they can call Waste Zero as well, and they'll be mailed new bags.
Tim, on that, I really would like to see Waste Zero come and take the bag inventory from the selling locations and take it back immediately. Because if they're like me, I end up running out of bags, and I need a bag to go to the transfer station. So I go to my local store where I get them, and I'm then in the process of doing it to put the kitchen bag inside the orange bag, and that's where it tears up. So I really think the amount of contract and material we buy from Waste Zero for those bags, they should take the inventory that's defective right now off the shelf, put the new ones on the shelf, especially in light of we're heading into spring and people are doing spring cleaning, and it's I thought at first when I saw it on some social media that it was a strange thing, but I've experienced it twice, and I don't think they're understating the problem.
Right. So they have agreed to go through the additional, uh, the existing inventory and pull out and replace any packages that have this imperfection.
You're talking about the inventory in the stores?
Probably most of the inventory that hasn't been distributed yet.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure about the stores.
Yeah, I don't know how
I
much
can
stores have an inventory, but that bad product should be taken out of the stores as soon as possible because it's not. I mean, and I see, they've taken a black eye to the Public Works Department. Well, it's
Correct.
not Public Works manufactured product, but they go to the easiest and best target. And I just think if we solve it immediately, we can move on.
What is, I haven't experienced this yet. What is the problem?
So
So
the bags are wrapped, and you buy, let's say the ones that are the small bags. There are 5 bags that are wrapped together.
Yep.
And used to put them inside of a cellophane bag, but now they don't. They put a label on the 5-bag wrap, and the label has glue all the way around the back that they wrap it. So the glue sticks completely to the first bag.
Oh, okay. And it tears the back.
And it tears the bag. It's nearly impossible to get the label off of the first bag, and you end up damaging that bag. But it's, just to get it apart, it's a 5 or 10 minute process.
yeah, it's not.
Sounds small, but
No, I guess I haven't bought bags recently to even see that. That's why I'm asking. I didn't realize that.
check
Yeah,
with
so they changed their process from packaging the bags within a plastic
Yes.
bag, to
Yeah,
to
no,
be more
I
environmentally conscious. And in that transition, they created a different issue, which
yeah.
it's not all the packages. So it's basically when that glue sticks, when it's not applied properly and it sticks to the bags, and hopefully their new process would completely eliminate this.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything else?
And I've been sending any of the questions, comments, even pictures that I've seen, even on social media. I've sent it to the to Waste Zero.
Yeah. Well, I don't disagree with Mike.
No. Yeah.
and
we're
please,
good- we're a good customer. You got to keep us happy.
Absolutely.
Tim, please ask them to take the present inventory out of the stores. The amount of business we've given them over the years that we've had the pay-as-you-go program, that's not I mean, they're going to be bringing new bags anyways to these stores. Take that inventory out and get the new and improved bags in as ASAP, please.
Okay. Will do.
I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman. Would you accept a motion?
Tim, anything? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.